So yesterday we learned that Donald Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly, a retired four-star general, confirmed that while Donald Trump was president, he said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. Donald Trump said that because he does not want a military that is loyal to the United States Constitution. He wants a military that is loyal to him. He wants a military who will be loyal to him personally, one that will obey his orders even when he tells them to break the law or abandon their oath to the Constitution of the United States. In just the past week, Donald Trump has repeatedly called his fellow Americans the enemy from within, and even said that he would use the United States military to go after American citizens. And let's be clear about who he considers to be the enemy from within.
More news you might want to know from the day. Somebody from the Trump team leaked to the media that he is working on an executive order to purge from the military top commanders, generals, admirals, colonels who do not prove sufficient loyalty to him. In other words, purging people that he cannot guarantee will carry out any order he gives, whether it's legal or not. So for all Trump voters who might have thought he was kidding about the whole dictator thing, it's not looking like it.
In a worrying sign of the times, European nations are sending pamphlets to their citizens on how to prepare for and survive a crisis or conflict. Sweden has issued its 10 million citizens with a new survival guide that opens with this warning. We live in uncertain times. Armed conflicts are currently being waged in our corner of the world. The focus is on how to survive during wartime, but the brochure also identifies extreme weather events, disease and technology outages, as well as psychological warfare as serious threats. It offers advice on how to survive prolonged blackouts and water shortages, how much food to stockpile, and where to seek shelter during an air raid.
The evidence now suggests that North Korea has sent around 10,000 soldiers to train in eastern Russia. And some of these DPRK troops have already moved closer to Ukraine. And we're seeing them outfitted with Russian uniforms and provided with Russian equipment. And I am increasingly concerned that the Kremlin plans to use these North Korean soldiers to support Russia's combat operations in Russia's Kursk region near the border with Ukraine.
This next clip is NATO Secretary General confirms deployment of North Korean troops in Russia.
Today, I can confirm that North Korean troops have been sent to Russia and that North Korean military units have been deployed to the Kursk region. The deployment of North Korean troops represents one, a significant escalation in the DPRK's ongoing involvement in Russia's illegal war. Two, yet another breach of UN Security Council resolutions. And three, a dangerous expansion of Russia's war.
So the nations are teaming up, just as the prophecy says.
Let me just explain in 2 minutes the Ukraine war. This is not an attack by Putin on Ukraine in the way that we are told every day. This started in 1990, February 9th, 1990. James Baker III, our Secretary of State, said to Mikhail Gorbachev, NATO will not move 1 inch eastward if you agree to German unification, basically ending World War II. And Gorbachev said, that's very important. Yes, NATO doesn't move, and we agreed to German unification. The U.S. then cheated on this, already starting in 1994, when Clinton signed off on basically a plan to expand NATO all the way to Ukraine. This is when the so-called neocons took power. Let me just explain in 2 minutes the Ukraine war. This is not an attack by Putin on Ukraine in the way that we are told every day. This started in 1990, February 9th, 1990. James Baker III, our Secretary of State, said to Mikhail Gorbachev, NATO will not move 1 inch eastward if you agree to German unification, basically ending World War II. And Gorbachev said that's very important. Yes, NATO doesn't move, and we agreed to German unification. The U.S. then cheated on this, already starting in 1994, when Clinton signed off on basically a plan to expand NATO all the way to Ukraine. This is when the so-called neocons took power, and Clinton was the first agent of this.
Now, this next clip I'm going to play, I don't know where this took place. I couldn't search it because of the language. But basically, if you pay attention, the dude have something connected to his body, and he ain't playing. And you can hear him talking about basically how the system is faulty. It just shows you that this place is everything is turned up.
Безнаказанность и ваша мягкая слабость. Вот что разрушает все. Наша система слепа к правде, слепа к справедливости. Она лишь умеет защите. Безнаказанность.
Do you have any idea how many nuclear weapons we have?
On ready for launch status, meaning they're forward deployed, meaning they can be launched in seconds or minutes from the president's order. Seconds or minutes. We have 1,770. The numbers change a little bit every year. Russia has 1,674. That says nothing about the thousands more in storage that we have ready to, that could be pulled out. So we have approximately 5,000 each. Why do we need that many nuclear weapons? You must be asking yourself.
We need that many because they have that many. And they need that many because we have that many.
Guess what the number was at the all-time high, which was in 1986?
10,000.
70,000.
70,000. Wow.
How we got here. I explain how America sort of had this insane buildup of nuclear weapons during the 1950s. There was one point in 1957, this bomb went off in 1952, and the military-industrial complex just went ba-ba-ba-boom.
So Russian President Vladimir Putin recently ordered his troops to launch a massive exercise of the country's nuclear forces, featuring missile launches in a simulation of a retaliatory strike. Now, when he was on a video call with some of his leaders of his military, he said that the drills would be simulating top officials' action in using nuclear weapons, and includes launches of nuclear-capable ballistic and cruise missiles. Now, Russia's defense minister said that the exercise was intended to practice strategic offensive forces launching a massive nuclear strike in response to a nuclear strike by an enemy. So this.
If you haven't heard about this story, no worries, this is breaking news. But apparently, underwater cables between Finland and Germany, two NATO countries, have been damaged or destroyed. We're also hearing that underwater cables between Lithuania and Sweden, obviously two NATO countries, have also been damaged or destroyed.
Two critical undersea internet cables in the Baltic Sea were mysteriously severed, raising fresh fears of Russian interference in global infrastructure. I'll explain. On Sunday, a vital communications cable between Lithuania and Sweden was cut around 10 a.m. local time, confirmed by Telia Lithuania. The disruption wasn't due to equipment failure, but physical damage. Meanwhile, Finland's state-controlled telecom company, Cinia, reported a similar disruption to the Sea Lion cable, a 1,200-kilometer link between Finland and Germany that also supports other crucial systems like gas pipelines and power lines. The